What happens when a former royal sits down for a friendly interview only to explode in fury when pressed on her contradictions? In one of the most shocking live TV moments in years, Meghan Markle's Good Morning America appearance turned into a full-blown meltdown, ending with her storming off set after a brutal showdown with veteran journalist Robin Roberts. The interview, meant to promote Meghan's charity work, instead exposed the deep rift between the Duchess and the media, accusations of hypocrisy, victim-playing, and media manipulation flying on both sides. If you want the full breakdown of this explosive confrontation word for word, hit subscribe now and let us know in the comments. Was Robin right to challenge Meghan, or did she cross the line? The Good Morning America studio was all bright lights and polished smiles as Meghan Markle walked onto the set. Dressed in a crisp, neutral-toned outfit, she looked every bit the poised former royal. Across from her, Robin Roberts greeted her with the warm professionalism that had made her a morning TV icon. The stage was set for what should have been a standard celebrity interview. "Meghan, it is wonderful to have you here this morning," Robin began, her voice smooth and welcoming. "Our audience is eager to hear about your new literacy initiative. Can you tell us about the work you are doing to help children?" Meghan smiled, but there was a flicker of something sharper in her eyes. "Thank you, Robin. I am happy to discuss. The program, it focuses on providing books and learning resources to underserved communities." Her words were measured, but her tone carried a subtle edge. Then, just as the conversation seemed to settle into a predictable rhythm, Meghan shifted. "But before we continue, I have to ask, is this interview truly about the work, or is it going to be another fishing expedition?" Robin's smile stayed in place, but her posture stiffened slightly. The studio seemed to hold its breath. This was not the scripted small talk anyone had expected. The first crack in the facade had appeared, and what came next would change the tone of the morning entirely. The air in the studio grew heavier as Meghan's question hung between them. Robin Roberts blinked, her famous composure faltering for just a second before her professional training kicked in. "I am not sure I follow. Meghan, we prepared questions about your important work, just as we do with all our guests." Meghan's hands tightened slightly in her lap. "Then why did your producers send a list of topics dominated by palace gossip and family drama? I counted 7 questions about royal relationships and only 3 about actual charity work." Her voice stayed calm but carried new weight. Robin adjusted in her chair, the leather creaking softly. "Our viewers are naturally curious about all aspects of your life. There's nothing wrong with balancing personal and professional topics." Balancing Meghan's laugh held no warmth. "When 90% of the suggested questions are about my past rather than the children I'm trying to help. That is not balance. That is turning humanitarian work into background noise for the same tired narratives." The camera caught Robin's fingers tensing around her note cards. "Meghan, you must understand that public interest drives our coverage. People want to hear from you about these matters. Or maybe certain outlets keep pushing those matters because conflict gets more clicks than literacy programs." Meghan's gaze never wavered. "So I'll ask again, Robin, is this actual journalism, or just tabloid masquerading as news with better lighting?" A hush fell over the studio crew. No one interrupted a veteran anchor like this, certainly not on live television. Robin's smile tightened at the edges. "I've spent 30 years building a reputation for fair journalism. I do not appreciate that implication." The battle lines were drawn now, the polite pretense crumbling by the second. What started as gentle probing had become a direct challenge, and neither woman seemed willing to back down. The real interview was just beginning. Robin leaned forward, her voice taking on a new edge. "Let us talk about narratives. Meghan, you have built an entire public identity around being misunderstood, yet since leaving royal life, you have signed multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify. You launched a media company while criticizing how others cover you. How does that align with your message about privacy and victimization?" Meghan's posture stiffened visibly. The studio lights caught the slight tremble in her hands before she clasped them together. "That is a deliberate misrepresentation. I never said I wanted to disappear from public life. I said I wanted control over how my story gets told, rather than having it twisted by others for profit. Control that comes with significant financial benefit," Robin countered. "Your ArcuWall Productions creates content about your experiences. Your interviews discuss private family matters. At what point does this become leveraging your status while rejecting the scrutiny that comes with it?" The color rose in Meghan's cheeks. "You are equating my sharing personal struggles with exploitation. That is disgusting. I speak about my mental health because it might help others, not for some calculated payday." Robin remained steady, her tone measured but firm. "I am simply noting the pattern. You criticize media intrusion while building an empire that depends on public attention. You left the monarchy citing privacy concerns, yet here you are on national television. The math does not add up." Meghan's voice dropped to a dangerous calm. "So now my trauma is just bad math to you. You are literally proving my point about how women like me get treated when we dare to speak up." The atmosphere crackled as Robin delivered what would become the interview's defining question. Then help me understand, Meghan, if you truly wanted privacy and peace, why appear on this show at all? Why not focus on your charity work away from cameras? A stunned silence followed. The question hung in the air like a challenge, stripping away all pretense. Every eye in the studio watched Meghan, waiting to see how she would respond to the direct confrontation of her entire public strategy. The pause stretched a beat too long. When Meghan finally spoke, her words came slower, more deliberate. I am here because some causes are bigger than my discomfort, but that does not give you the right to dismiss what I have endured as some marketing tactic. Robin did not blink, and that does not answer the question. The standoff had reached its breaking point. What happened next would shock viewers across the country and send social media into a frenzy. The carefully constructed interview facade had shattered completely, leaving only raw confrontation in its place. This confrontation is only heating up. Do not miss part 2, where Robin fires back with her most pointed questions yet. Hit subscribe now so you get the next explosive installment the moment it drops. The studio lights felt hotter as Meghan Markle's hands gripped the arms of her chair. Her knuckles turned white while Robin Roberts waited for an answer that never came. The silence stretched too long, the air thick with tension millions of viewers could feel through their screens. Meghan suddenly pushed back from the table, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. I do not have to sit here and take this abuse, she declared, her voice shaking with barely controlled emotion. The production crew froze, unsure whether to intervene as the Duchess rose to her full height. Robin remained seated, her expression unreadable. Asking tough questions is not abuse, Meghan, it is called accountability. Her words were calm but carried an edge, sharper than any raised voice. Accountability. Meghan's laugh held no humor as she began unhooking her microphone. You call this accountability? Badgering me about my trauma while pretending this is journalism. The tiny microphone pack hit the chair with a thud. The studio mics picked up perfectly. Camera operators scrambled to adjust their shots as Meghan turned toward the audience. The red recording lights burned bright, capturing every second of the unfolding disaster. To anyone watching who has ever been bullied, ever been talked over, ever been told their pain does not matter, I see you. Her voice cracked just enough to reveal the raw emotion beneath. Do not let them silence you. Robin stood now too, her professional mask slipping for the first time. And to our viewers who believe in honest dialogue, this is what real journalism looks like. We do not let guests walk away from hard questions just because they do not like the answers. Meghan was already moving toward the exit, her heels clicking like gunshots in the stunned silence. She paused at the studio door just long enough to deliver her final blow. Real journalism. No, Robin, this is just cruelty with a smile and a teleprompter. Then she was gone, leaving an empty chair and a speechless crew in her wake. The control room erupted into frantic whispers as producers debated cutting to commercial. Robin smoothed her blazer and turned back to camera one with remarkable composure. We will be right back after these messages, she said, as if nothing extraordinary had just happened. But something extraordinary had happened. In less than 3 minutes, a routine morning show interview had become must-see television. Social media was already exploding with reactions before the first commercial break ended. The hashtag Meghan walks out began trending worldwide within 8 minutes. Backstage, a producer rushed to intercept Meghan as she headed for the elevators. The Duchess waved them off without breaking stride. No comment, she said, her voice firm despite the tears glistening in her eyes. The elevator doors closed on the image of a woman who had clearly reached her breaking point. Meanwhile, in the studio, Robin reviewed the confrontation in her earpiece as makeup artists dabbed at her forehead. We are staying with this, the executive producer insisted. This is history happening live. The cameras rolled again, capturing Robin's carefully neutral expression as she prepared to address the elephant that had just stormed out of the room. What followed would be analyzed frame by frame on every news network for weeks. The moment a Duchess decided she had taken enough. The moment a veteran journalist refused to back down. The moment morning television became must-see drama, and it was all captured live, without edits, without second takes, raw reality playing out in real time for the world to see. The moment the cameras cut to commercial, the Good Morning America studio erupted into controlled chaos. Producers rushed between monitors, their headsets buzzing with urgent instructions from network executives. Stagehands stood frozen, unsure whether to reset the interview chairs or leave them as they were. A stark monument to the confrontation that just occurred. Robin Roberts remained at the anchor desk, her face unreadable as a makeup artist dabbed at her forehead. She scanned the production notes being thrust at her, making quick edits with a red pen. The veteran broadcaster had weathered countless live television moments, but none quite like this. Meanwhile, social media exploded faster than the production team could track. The hashtag Meghan vs Robin began trending within minutes, splitting into two opposing camps. One side praised Robin for finally holding Meghan accountable, while others condemned the interview as a coordinated take. Viral memes of Meghan removing her microphone spread across platforms before the show even returned from break. Media analysts were already weighing in. CNN's Brian Stelter called it a masterclass in tough but fair journalism, while The View's Sunny Hostin tweeted it was disgraceful how a woman of color's trauma was dismissed on national TV. Royal commentators noted the parallels to Princess Diana's famous 1995 Panorama interview, though with one crucial difference. This time the royal walked out. Back in the studio, Robin smoothed her jacket and took a deep breath as the countdown to live resumed. The cameras rolled again, capturing her perfectly composed demeanor. "We want to thank our guest Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, for joining us this morning," she said, her tone carefully neutral. The professional grace under fire reminded viewers why she had dominated morning television for decades. Network executives huddled in emergency meetings, debating whether to issue a statement. Early ratings showed viewership had spiked by 62%. During the confrontation, with DVR recordings skyrocketing, advertisers scrambled to adjust their commercial placements around what was clearly becoming the watercooler moment of the year. Legal analysts speculated about potential repercussions. Given Meghan's history of challenging media outlets, public relations experts debated whether this would hurt or help her public image. But one thing was certain: the carefully managed narrative around the Sussexes had just been blown wide open, and the fallout would continue for weeks to come. The explosive interview has left viewers divided, with passionate arguments on both sides. Social media is flooded with reactions, and the question on everyone's mind is simple: who really came out on top in this clash? Some argue Robin Roberts did exactly what journalists are supposed to do: hold public figures accountable. They say Meghan was unprepared for tough questions and played the victim when challenged. Others believe Robin crossed a line, turning what should have been a professional discussion into a personal attack. Early polls show the audience is split nearly down the middle. 47% say Robin was justified in pushing back, while 45% side with Meghan, calling the interview unfairly aggressive. The remaining 8%, they just want to see what happens next. Now it is your turn to weigh in. Was Robin too harsh, or did Meghan overreact? Drop your take in the comments below and let us know where you stand. Do you respect Robin for asking the hard questions, or do you think Meghan had every right to walk away? This debate is far from over. Media analysts will be dissecting this interview for weeks. But the real conversation is happening right now, among the viewers who watched it unfold live. So join the discussion and make your voice heard. Who do you think won this battle? This explosive clash proves one thing beyond doubt: the battle between Meghan Markle, the royal family, and the media is far from over. What started as a simple morning show interview has become a defining moment in the ongoing saga. The questions raised today will echo for weeks to come. Did Meghan deserve tougher scrutiny? Did Robin push too hard? One thing is certain: this confrontation has changed the game. Now, we want to hear from you. Where do you stand in this debate? Let us know in the comments below. Do you think Meghan was right to walk away, or should she have stayed and answered the tough questions? Make sure you do not miss what happens next. The fallout from this interview is just beginning. Hit that subscribe button now so you get our exclusive follow-up coverage the moment it drops. More explosive celebrity showdowns are coming, and you will not want to miss a single moment. Subscribe today and join the conversation. The drama continues, and neither side is backing down. This story is far from over. The fallout from this interview is still developing, and we will be covering every angle. Hit subscribe so you do not miss our next update, where we break down the biggest reactions and what they mean for Meghan and Robin moving forward. The conversation is just getting